This hearing is Iran's destabilizing role in the Middle East, and the committee is going to come to order at this time. This morning we look at Iran's considerable efforts to destabilize the Middle East. When it comes to Iran, attention has rightly been focused on efforts to stop its nuclear program. But as one witness will explain this morning, Iran's nuclear program is just the tip of the revolutionary spear that extends across the world and threatens key U.S. interests. Iran's foreign policy, he goes on to say, is subversive, sectarian, and set on goals that would come at the expense of U.S. interests. He's right. Indeed, with Iran's long support of terrorist groups and support of militias and adversarial regimes, the region has been feeling the brunt of this revolutionary spear for quite some time. Thanks to Iran, Hamas has rearmed since 2012. Iran is the one that rearmed them. And nearly 80% of Israel's citizens are fleeing to bomb shelters this week as a result. With Iran's aid, Shia militias within Iraq are rearming and they're mobilizing. The Assad regime, with the Iranian forces, with Quds forces, and with Hezbollah, continues massacring Syrians. With Iran's aid, Hezbollah is able to threaten Israel with over 25,000 rockets, and I can say that I saw some of this firsthand during the Second Lebanon War. I was on the ground in Haifa as those rockets were coming in. This was before the invention of the Iron Dome. There were 600 victims in the Rambam Trauma Hospital, and they were targeting civilian neighborhoods. And Houthi rebels, supported by Iran, are closing in on Yemen's capital. And now that's quite a record for a regime now sitting across the table from us in Vienna, where the administration has conceded that this #1 state sponsor of terrorism in the world arguably can enrich uranium. My concern is that they're conceding that. I hope it is not conceded, because that is the pathway to a nuclear weapon. Of course, these aren't random efforts to support terrorism by the Iranian regime, but concerted actions by this Ayatollah-led, and he's the key decision maker, this Shia-led government, to overturn what Iran believes is a regional power structure that favors the United States and favors Israel and their collaborators. And when they say collaborators, of course, what they mean is the Sunni Muslim governments in the Gulf. This is a recipe for disaster for the region. It's a recipe for U.S. interests there. And today, Iran's work is on full display as hundreds of rockets have rained down on southern Israel. It is Iran that provides, again, the funding, the weapons, the training to Hamas and other Palestinian terror groups. Iranian leaders have admitted to providing the missile technology that Hamas used against Israel during the last Gaza conflict in November 2012. And just the other week, a UN panel of experts concluded that rockets and weapons concealed on the Klaus Sea, including long-range M302 rockets, long-range rockets, originated from Iran. Other shipments have gotten through as Hamas have fired the recently acquired rockets for the first time, and of course those bring all of Israel within, or nearly all, within range, certainly Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. These weapons put 8 million people into Gaza's range of fire. One of them struck Hadera, a coastal city between Tel Aviv and Haifa, 73 miles north of Gaza. In recent years, Iran has come under increasing strain from international sanctions aimed at stopping its nuclear program. This is what, frankly, got Iran to the table. When we talk about why they're at the negotiation table, it is because of the sanctions passed here and adopted. But even with its economy damaged, Iran has managed to provide robust support to extremist proxies as part of its broader geopolitical agenda across the region. As one ambassador from the region shared with me, what do we think is going to happen if they come out from under those sanctions with respect to the capital that they'll then have at their disposal for destabilization. Now the United States and other world powers are negotiating a final nuclear agreement with Iran that would lift most of the sanctions. Bad deal or good deal, and many of us fear a bad deal, any sanctions relief will bolster Iran. As one witness notes, Iran stands to gain $100 billion in frozen bank accounts and billions as oil exports resume. That's a lot of M302 rockets. How will an Iran unchained by international sanctions treat its neighbors? I hope how it treats its own citizens aren't an indication of how it's going to treat its neighbors. How are the United States and our allies positioned to counter Iran's destabilizing activities in the Middle East? I'm afraid we're going to hear from one of our witnesses today, not well. And I'll now turn to the ranking member for any opening comments that Mr. Engel of New York has.